Welcome back to Four Titles, One Truth, the podcast where we don't dodge tough conversations. And you know me, I'm Tommie.
And I'm Lance. And today, we're asking another tough one. Why is the belief so strong that black men are targeted? Is it reality, perception, or something we're just tired of having to explain?
Yeah. Now, for some, this is going to be tough to hear. I just say, just listen, and then give us feedback so we'll know what your thoughts are.
Yep. We're excited to have this conversation, so let's get into it.
Okay. All right. First question. Where were you and how old were you, if you can remember that far back, when you first became aware that the color of your skin came with added rules to your survival?
That's a tough one, man. Because, like you, I grew up in an area that was predominantly black, all black for the most part. Then I have family members that or some were white, you know, that, I did, it was trying to think of the first time that I ever ran, and it's probably junior high. Yeah, it had to have been like junior high, because I would walk to the or this particular time I walked to the dentist, which was up in the white part of next little town. It was a little suburb part, but next little town right up that I could walk through it, and that's where the dentist office was. And as I was walking up there, walked up, didn't have a problem. Then when I was walking home, cop car saying, driving in the opposite direction I was in, came around.
While you were walking?
While I was walking, came around, pulled over, and I was like, yes. Yes. And he's like, where you going? It's like, home. Where you coming from? The dentist's office, right over there. Well, make sure you get there. So it was like,
aggressive.
Okay. Yep. And then
Did you tell your pops? What did he say?
Absolutely. It was like, he was pissed, and I was just like, he's like, well, you handled it. You said you didn't get. I was like, I didn't know what to, because I didn't have any ill will towards. I didn't have any reason at that time to, and maybe I was just ignorant. I didn't have any reason to think the worst of that situation. Or think the best. Yeah, because it's just like, what's going on? Then when I got into high school, and being in a high school that was predominantly white, in a town that was white. So if we did anything, like, especially after school hours and any of the little, like the pool, or if they had anything like that, then you would hear, the N-word, come up. And it was a lot more prevalent, especially if you were dating or talking
outside your race.
Yeah. It was much more prevalent, and, and it was just learning by situations. Because it's another big one was, we were wrestling up in Chicago. This is our team, and our team was, it was predominantly, we were white school, but our team was predominantly black, especially when we wrestled in the summertime and stuff. So we were up there wrestling it was a tournament. We were staying at one of our coach's friends' homes. So we went out, we walked, and it was Deerfield. Deerfield is...
Heard of it?
Yes. So we say, okay, let's go find a little store. I think we were trying to find like a little convenience store or something. So we got up, walked out the house, walked to the store. And it was probably about four or five of us. I can't remember how many of us. Walked back to the house. Soon as we got into the house, cops swarmed the house.
Wow.
We were like, what? And because like one of the guys said, is somebody walking around the side of the thing?
It was a cop.
cops. I mean, thinking
Wow.
that because somebody had called and said that they saw these,
A gang.
black kids walking, and then they went into like we were breaking into this house
Wow.
because our coach wasn't there. Nope, we were there. So that was an experience, and then probably the last one was when I was well, not last one, but another one was when I was in college, and I was
At a black college.
At a black college, but I was driving home to, and I was coming through Ohio. I was in Eastern Ohio.
Whoa.
I was in Eastern Ohio.
I'm going to edit this out of the conversation. No, I'm just playing. Go ahead.
Coming home Eastern Ohio, it was me, one of my friends, my good friends, Chad. He's from Cincinnati, and another one of our friends, Sam, was female.
Okay.
But we were driving back, and at that time I had a red LeSabre. I don't know you remember
Buick,
LeSabre.
absolutely.
Yeah, Buick LeSabre. Yes, I did. Driving back from there and got pulled over by the cops. Wasn't speeding or anything.
Right.
So I'm like, what did we get pulled over for? So the cop comes up. Well, he had us pulled over, and then he was waiting for another cop to come. Then they pulled up, and then another cop came with a dog.
Ooh.
And they said that our car fit the description of somebody that just escaped from the prison or whatever. That was, and I was like, so they searched the car, had the dog sniffing the car and everything, and I'm like, we fit the description from the highway driving. Nothing.
Happened
just
to be in that spot.
I mean, so I mean, it's been a few, but those are the ones that stick in my mind as far as that. But yeah, that first time I was probably like eighth, ninth grade. I can't remember, but again, I never grew up where. I mean, I guess where I was just
blatantly.
Yeah, blatant. Where I was blatantly. But I know that my
you.
father, my uncles, and
it was
those guys.
time.
I mean, and they never. They grew up with that crap, so they knew how to navigate it and deal with it a whole lot better than me. Because I feel like in our generation, a lot of it we were growing up with the passive aggressive type of thing where it's there, but they're not.
Yeah, sometimes you didn't know.
That too.
Until it did.
That too. How about you, man?
So for me, first time I became aware, like I've told multiple times, I went to a private school from kindergarten to 6th grade, and my sister went from kindergarten to 8th grade, because she's 2 years older than me. And 99% of the time, it was just the two of us in a high school, or actually in a school that was K through 12. So kindergarten through 12th grade was in the building.
Okay.
And so we would catch the van, or it wasn't even a bus, we would catch the van to school. And it was on the other side of town. So the van would come to our black neighborhood and then drive us out towards Hunter. And you locals will know what I'm talking about. And I don't remember the first time, but I absolutely remember specific times where I was called the N-word. And I learned, even at an early age, that I was only called the N-word when the white people that said it, because not everybody said it, were angry at me for something. We used to play soccer on the blacktop. And if I would do a move and embarrass somebody, no, the N-word would come out, or if I was, if a white girl was a little too flirty with me, remember, this is elementary for me, was a little too flirty with me, then notes would get passed with the N-word writing in it. Right. And at that time, my dad and my family had not officially introduced racism to us because not only was I going to a private white school, but we went to a majority white church. So my family and I dealt with white people a lot often.
Yeah.
And my mother and my father were like volunteers in the church. My mom was in a choir and would sing and teach Sunday school. And my dad was like the bus driver to go to bring buses to our neighborhood to take black people to these churches, because the white church that we went to was called Grand Avenue in the beginning, and then Town Boulevard. They had an outreach program to where they were trying to bring, other races and stuff to the church, right? And so, but at this private school, I would run into situations, right? But it wasn't defined until.
So was it a predominantly white Christian school? Or?
No, I said it was only 2 black people.
Oh,
Yeah, it's just me and my.
Okay. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I mean,
me
okay.
and my sister.
I mean, yeah, because I went to Catholic school, but it was predominantly black.
No, it was all. I mean, from teachers to staff to students, we were the only 2 black people in that school on average.
Yeah. Wow.
But there was one time, there would always be one other black person that you'd find, right, that was in our side of the town that would go to the school as well. But there was this one time, we were on the bus, like I said, it was K through 12. And there were, I don't know if they were seniors, but they were absolutely high schoolers. And they were making fun of us. And there were 3 black people on the van. It was me, my sister, and a friend. Her name was Leoma. But we were on the van, and they were making fun of us about something, and they called us monkeys. And once again, I was not introduced to racism, so I didn't. Even growing up in a black neighborhood, my parent. Once again, I was somewhere between 1st and 5th grade.
Yeah, because you're not at home and
well,
people call you monkey, call you monkeys and stuff. That's one that's
So we were on the van and they called us monkey, and then we got off the van, and my sister had mentioned it to my mom, and I'm not sure if my dad was there, but my dad found out. My dad's from Troy, Alabama. Black on black on black on black, right? And so that next morning, my dad didn't go directly to work. He waited for the van to show up to pick us up, because they came to the corner. We lived on a corner growing up, and the corner was the pickup for us for school my whole life. We never had to walk anywhere.
Okay.
So when people were out on the corner freezing,
he's looking out the window.
We waited right by the door. But anyway, but that morning, all because my sister mentioned it in the house. I'm not sure if she told my dad, but she absolutely told our mother, and then I guess our mother told our dad. But that next morning, while we were about ready to walk into the bus, we had no idea what Dad was doing, but we got on the bus and then we sat down, and Dad wouldn't let him close the door, and he said, and I remember him saying it. He was like, "I don't know which one of you called my children," because he claimed all 3 of the black people there, a monkey. He was like, "But there are no monkeys on this van." He said, "I pay for my kids to go to that school just like your parents do. And what you won't do is call anybody outside of their name from this point forward." And he looked at every one of them. He was like, "Is that understood?" And it was boys, girls, high schoolers, elementary, and even the bus driver.
I was gonna say, did the bus driver say anything?
Like I
or
said, I don't remember why it happened, but they called us monkeys, or a guy, his name was Eric something, called us monkeys, and my sister mentioned it at home, and our parents somehow, and then Dad did that, and my dad is 6'2", and at that time he's probably about 240, 250, so he's always been a big guy, yeah. And he always carried himself like, I'm not just big, but, don't. Yeah. And he had the edge to him, but he was the most genuine and polite person ever. No matter where he was, people loved him, you know what I'm saying? And Mom says I have a little bit of that, but no, he could say whatever he wanted to, and everybody just be, I love Tom Jones, blah, blah, blah. But he was a genuine person. And ever since that day till the rest of the time we were in that school, as far as the van issues, never had that. One. Yeah. But that was the first time that we were introduced to racism and understanding that we knew we were different, but understanding that people didn't like our difference. Right. And why. So that was interesting.
I think kids understand difference. It's the
hate.
Yeah, the hate
anger
piece.
The
anger about it. Like, why is that bad? Why is that wrong? Or why is that?
Agreed.
Do you think that the belief is generational, or has it evolved with society?
Okay. So I absolutely believe it's generational, right? Because of the circumstance that got us to this country, right? And the reality of that for most of the time we've been in this country, we weren't even credited as being a full human. Right. So if you are seen as evil and a product, then you are absolutely not going to be someone that people are going to be considerate to. You're not going to be someone that people are going to trust. And you're not going to be someone that people are going to admire openly. All right? Openly. Right. Okay? So that's why I think it's generational, meaning that if you look at those old pictures of hangings of black men and women and kids, the audience around them were white people in a party-like atmosphere. And so we can understand how horrible that was to hang someone and burn them or whatever they did and rape or all that. But also, let's just focus on the fact that people were taking pictures, posing, and celebrating with cheeses and smiles with a person, being that they didn't consider a person, hanging with their neck broke, choked out, and dead, right? So that is where I say it's generational, meaning we went from straight up dirt to now the evolution is that now at least by the majority of people on this planet, we're at least human. Now, there are still racial biases. There are still, I'm talking like the fear of trust. I'm talking about fear, period. The so-called assumption that we are like animal-like, stuff like that. So I do believe that it has evolved, but it's absolutely generational, and you can literally follow the logic and the legitimate explanation as to how it's a real thing in society.
Okay. Do you feel like that's I do. I feel like it's more prevalent in certain areas, or
absolutely, because not every person, not every group of people evolve at the same rate. For instance, I I know for a fact that friends I've grown up with for 40 years, right? I know that they would love that they love me and that they got my back, right? But I can honestly say I don't know if they feel that way towards other black people. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And on the flip side, I evolved into a mistrust and fear of white people because of the situation experiences in my life. So
Okay.
I've had to battle that, even though I was raised in a white Christian school and in a white church. And the reason I've evolved into that is because I was still black.
Mm-hmm.
And I still had those experiences that taught me that you can't trust, white people openly. You have to figure them out. Now, I will say that the Army brought me back to the center line on a lot of things, to where now I can't help but assume that the people I'm in a area with, I will reach out and talk to them. I don't talk about politics. I'm not worried about their politics. But hey, for instance, we're travel agents. We have our own travel agency. We travel all over the world, and y'all travel. If I'm sitting down and a black person, white person, or any other race is at my table or near me, I'm going to speak to them. And I've had some of the best conversations. I've had some of the best friendships from different races.
Yep.
So it's something I evolved into, but I absolutely went from innocence of a child, not even understanding that racism was a thing because of the way my parents raised me, to getting slapped in the face with racism because of the things that were thrown at me and the things that I was involved with that had nothing to do with me being an outright rebel or anything. It had to do literally because I walked into a space,
And you were black.
Absolutely.
A black man at that.
But then growing more and then being in the military, it's knocked down a lot of those walls. So I will say that not only is it generational from what I see and evolved from what I see, it's generational and evolved of what I am as a man today.
Well, yeah. I mean, I agree with you.
What?
I agree with you. I agree with you there. But it's I think it's because as we get older, we understand it and can break it down a little.
If we choose to. If we choose to.
I can say for me.
Yes.
Because I can break it. I mean, because some things that used to drive me crazy or have me ready to choke somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, okay. I mean, that's not, you got to come with something better than that.
Yeah.
Than calling me a nigger to try to get me to, react.
Yeah,
it's just like,
up.
whatever. Yeah, it's like, oh, whatever. Okay, let's go.
But like I said, I have gone from just taking it as a dig when I was young to taking offense and fighting.
To address it. Yeah, well, to address it and to be able to address it in a manner that it doesn't have to come to
that's the
me knocking
final
you out.
evidence. But I've gone to fighting over that word, and then I've gone to, it ain't worth it. Yeah, it ain't worth it. You calling me that word, you don't matter enough that it's going to cost me to change who I am.
Yeah.
So, but you agree, generational, and
it's
evolving.
Yeah, I mean it has to. It's not doing it fast enough, but
true.
It's going.
Yeah, it's better than when we.
It's better than we were. It's better than when our parents were,
grandparents
and stuff. But it's still not.
A long way to go.
For me, like now, it's still not where it should be because wouldn't expect to be a 50-year-old.
Still called.
Still dealing with that. Or people that think that
I agree.
that we are a lesser person than anybody, or not as capable or whatever, or not as smart as mean, that's just like it makes no sense to me. That's crazy.
I agree.
It's crazy.
And also I want to state, it's crazy that any race gets judged and gets thought as of less of a person because of their nationality or their origin in life that they had nothing to do with. I came into this world as a black man, not because I chose to, but because that's life.
Yeah,
and then to be held down because of that, that's not good for any race.
Nope.
Any race. All right. So how do your personal experiences shape this perception versus what we constantly see in the media?
Personal experiences. I think it's always trying to, I mean, and that, I guess as get older, we know what these perceptions are. And and sometimes we're anticipating what some of these perceptions are, depending on the situation that we are that we're in. Yeah. I mean, so because the media is quick to, depending on what station you're watching, what's going on at the time,
and who's the president,
as to what's acceptable or what's the how far they can go with certain things. But I mean, perception is huge. I mean, and I really, I mean, I don't know how. I mean, I don't know how to change. I mean, it's hard to try to think about changing somebody's perception, because if they have something in their mind already,
and they won't.
Yeah, I mean, so it's like, okay, you just don't want it to. I guess I fear more for my kids who are not as perceptive of when somebody's making derogatory statements or
especially
actions
because
or
we've tried to raise them in a better environment. That's
I mean, they're a lot more, and I don't even like saying accepting, but they don't look at it as a.
Well, they don't have
I'm
the same
better
chip
than you.
on their
I'm
shoulder.
not. Yeah, I
they
mean,
don't
so
have the
it's
same
just
chip on their shoulder. So,
but media can sometimes pit us against each other, so that they can sell rate. I mean, so that they're trying to get ratings and things like that. So, I mean that's.
It's still sad that the worst part of the news is the majority of it is of a brown skin tone, whether it's Hispanic, whether it's whatever, black, whether it's just, it seems like the worst of the news is absolutely related to the skin color. That's what's frustrating. That's why I don't really watch a lot of the news. I read a lot more. But for me, the personal experience is by what I went through and what I talked about, how the Army corrected a lot of my assumptions of people. Because even when I went to basic training, now I'm from Middletown, Ohio. We had Hispanic people and we had some Asian people, but I'm talking handfuls. So it was majority black and white. That's what I grew up with. And even the Hispanic people in Middletown, to me, were more associated to the white people than the black people, because I didn't hear the Spanish accent growing up. I didn't hear the Spanish words growing up. So, and then the Asian, I only knew like one or two from an Asian family, and the Asian mother and wife that I knew was, I believe, Chinese. So I heard the accent in her, but was married to a white man, and so there was still a, it still came back to black and white to me growing up always. And when I joined the military was the first time outside of TV I've heard the strong Spanish accent. I'm serious. And other races. And so having to what did you say? And work through that barrier. And the Army's absolutely trained my ear that I can understand accented English a lot better. And so even I learned from that experience and basic training being thrown together. So I can imagine how a white person who'd never seen a black person and then being thrown into that fire, or any other race thrown into that Army fire of everybody everywhere, is different. I can absolutely understand the surprise and stress of that, but also that's where I lean towards the military, because you have to adjust and adapt. And no matter what, in the military, following the rules, the only thing that matters is accomplishing the mission. And accomplishing the mission depends on everybody doing their part. So even if you're still the most racist, black, white, or whatever person, you still had to deal with those other races to accomplish the goals of the mission.
So let me ask you this. So and it's dealing with this question too. Has your perception changed as far as what the I guess not here it is. What has the media, what the media displays, the perception that the media displays, is it close to or accurate with how you see what the perception is of black people, black men now?
Is it different? Absolutely, it's different. I mean, so the reason I get so bothered about, like I said, the news focusing on the worst parts of the news, focusing on the darker skinned people, is because I grew up in a neighborhood of bad black people and good black people. And easily the majority of people are good
people. Yep.
The bad people, everybody knew about.
Yep.
Because it was the same people. Yep. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it
was the worst of the worst. And the reason I point that out is because I know that's the same thing that happens in a white neighborhood, in a Hispanic neighborhood. There are good people everywhere.
And that's what I
was
trying to, is like, I feel like we are the only race that gets lumped in, and everybody is
the bad
proven bad before you even.
It's like that's like ink on your hand. Everybody else can wash it off by the horrible things that their race does, but black people are. I mean, think of the serial killers out there that are white, are heralded by some people and have documentaries, right? But check this out. Malcolm X was hated by everybody, but the majority of everyone outside of the black culture. Yeah. And he didn't murder nobody, let alone multiple people. You know what I'm saying?
He didn't.
So that's what's always thrown me off. Those serial killers and those gangsters. You know, those gangsters in history did much worse than any black gang.
Yep.
Much worse. But they are heralded and seen as cool. And a lot of people, I'm talking about all races, they take them as their heroes. You know what I'm saying? But the Black Panthers are like one of the worst terrorist groups that in the history of the United States, who never had a mass anything.
Nope.
Never had a mass murder or killings. Never had a mass plan to take over the United States.
Nope, they fed the kids.
That's all they tried to do was bring up their black culture. That's what their focus was, and tried to keep people that weren't in that race out of it. That was the initiation of all of them anyway. And so it's just, and it's not just the media. The media has a huge role, absolutely, because some people just believe what they hear. But it's also,
a lot of people do.
Yeah, it's in people's hearts, man. There's people out there that are racist because that's how they were raised and that's what they see. And there's nothing you could save their life.
That is the most frustrating,
Yeah.
most frustrating thing for me. Absolutely. Is like, especially when they can't explain. It's like, why? Yeah. Just explain to me why. I just want to understand how you feel that way or why you feel that way. And if you can't explain to me, then it makes no freaking sense.
Yeah, and if you can't have a conversation and at least hear the other side, that's what gets me. Oh. And there are black racist people, there are Hispanic racist people, everybody has racists in them, right? And it don't matter if you can't at least be open to hear the other side without being ready to have your argument forced on people, and because you're not listening, you're just too busy thinking about what you're saying next, then there's certain groups, there's certain people that there's nothing you can do about it, man. You know, so like I was saying, the media has one part of it, but it's in people's hearts and souls who are the nastiest people out there, and
you ain't gonna change that. No, you're not gonna change that.
They're staying that way because that's the way they want to be, and nothing you can do about it. Yep.
So, how have conversations about race changed or stayed the same since we were kids to when we served to now?
Well, it's changed because a lot more people are I'm talking about of all races are now seeing it as racism. You know, there was a time in this country specifically that it was society. You know what I'm saying? It was the culture that black people were less, that anybody who wasn't white was less. So now people of all colors are starting to see or define what racism is. There was a definition that some never even took into consideration.
And speak out about it and protest about
absolutely.
it. And I mean,
and that's the thing. If you can define something and understand that definition, then you can act. But if you don't have a definition for it, it's just something that's in your blood, or because that was what you were raised on, and not because you made an academic decision to research and find out what it is, then you're forever going to stay in that rut. Yeah. And then since we were kids, it goes back to what we've mentioned before talking on podcasts, is the more, and I wish people could really understand this, because this is a old man talking from a kid's perspective, right? If I can see it, then I feel that is no longer a destination I can never dream about. So when President Obama became president, I was so inspired because I felt without a doubt that my son could now at least envision himself as a president.
Well, he could see himself.
Absolutely. Yep. That's what I'm saying. Whether he took that path or not, which he hasn't yet. But Jalen, I'm talking to you, which he hasn't taken. But the fact that now, because me growing up, it was all white men. So being the president was not a thing that I even dreamed about, because I didn't even think that it was a reality. So that's how I say, that's what I say to that, because since we were kids, it's absolutely changed. And then when we served, it goes back to being brought back to the military standards. And everybody is supposed to get to those standards. And the closer you can get whatever environment you're around to those standards, Some people, not speaking of the military, not speaking about the military, some people have religion. Mm-hmm. And that's how they bring their group of people together. Some people have just their beliefs or whatever. So there's a moral compass for every group. And in the military, that moral compass is led by this true north is the Army values and the standards. So when we served, from being a soldier to being a leader, we were either brought to that moral compass, that center line, or we were bringing people to that compass by explaining and living it.
Well, I think that's the important thing is like especially when we were in the military, you're living it because you don't have any choice because you're going to be either, you could be in charge of X amount of whatever different races, or you can be answering up to somebody that's a different race, whatever. But a lot of that you don't. That's not something that the first thing you say, oh, that's this white person or this Hispanic person or
it's sergeant or my commander or first sergeant.
Yeah. So I mean, I would say the conversations from the time when we were kids. Well, say when I was a kid, when we were kids. It's more. It's addressed more. I feel like it's addressed more to try to figure out. It's like, hey, that's not what we're doing here. You know, it's more of
right and wrong.
That,
versus,
instead of I feel like when we were kids, it was, I don't want to say accepted, but it was something that if it happened, you might address.
Easy explanation.
You know, as you address it, but then it's nothing to try to like, okay, then how are we gonna fix this from happening again? Or that's not what we're talking about, you know, as to when we served, when it was like it wasn't tolerated, I feel, while we were in.
Wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Once
true.
again, it goes back to that moral compass, that center line. And once again,
there are folks out there.
Absolutely.
There are folks that are out there that are in the service, that are not in the service.
Resist.
Yep.
Whether it be resisting to be a rebel on the other side or resisting and trying to favor.
Yep. And then like to now where we're dealing with an administration that has brought back some of those folks that when we were kids, those ideas, I should say, is when we were kids, that it's okay to speak to individuals in a certain way, and that's acceptable because they are
the new
brown or whatever, which is like we're not going back. That's not a direction where we're going back
feelings? To. Everybody does when it's your feelings that are being stepped on.
Yep, absolutely. So, but people are a lot more. And I don't even know that because I know that they were super vocal back in the 60s when they were doing all of the freedom marches and those things like that. I think that we have more from a lot more from of the races that are coming together to try to combat this and protest it
And my biggest thing about now is you can't, and this, oh my goodness, I've said this so much while I was in uniform. You can't change and evolve and only think it's going to pertain to what you believe, right? So if you want...
Or to one group.
That's my point. The biggest thing is change is going to happen, but you absolutely can't just think that change can't happen to everything, right?
Right.
So if change happens for immigrants, Hispanic immigrants, you can't for a second think that other immigrants should be able to not be able to enjoy the positive change for them.
Masses. Has pertained to the masses.
Absolutely.
I hear you.
Absolutely. So I hope that came across and makes sense.
I hear you. No, that makes sense.
So let me ask you this.
Okay.
What do you say to people who ask, is this really a problem?
Yes, it is. It still is. I mean, because it's like, why we talked about it earlier. It's like, why are we still talking about this? Why is this such a problem? I mean, it's like you're talking about the color of somebody's skin.
Oh yeah.
You know, and their different cultures, which they tell us to go back to, or tell black folks to go back to Africa, and where we gonna go back to Africa?
Like we got a plane ticket.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a lot of us don't have. I mean, you look at our DNA, and I look at it, how true it is, or what I'm sure it's how accurate and all of that stuff. But we're so mixed up with different races and stuff. It's like, well, I can only go back to 2 of those countries back.
Yeah.
No, I'm split up between 4 of those countries right there.
I gotta go back to one continent.
Yeah, so it's yes, it's still a problem. Do I see it getting better? Hopefully, yes. Yeah. I think it. I mean, all we can continue to do is to
hope.
Yep, hope and be who we are, and
which is the worst and best thing.
Yep.
You could have, because hope sometimes slows down action. I say to people who ask me if specifically black people are targeted, I believe in some cases, absolutely. And then I also believe that in some cases it hasn't evolved. Like when it comes to, there's a fear from other races, right? But me, some people consider me a big person, right? And so if I'm sitting in a car and somebody comes at me, the first thing they'll see if I'm black. And same thing I'll see going towards another person in another vehicle, right? Mm-hmm. I'll see that they're a different race or whatever. And then when they see me get out the car, they'll see I'm big and black, right? And then if they take the time to engage with me, they'll realize that I have a sense of humor, that I'm educated, that I'm knowledgeable on a lot of things.
Oh, are you?
And I've experienced a lot.
Okay, all right,
well,
all right.
Good people. All right. And see, and that's what I expect from people, mm-hmm. to allow that to transition into that. And I expect that from other people, and that's what I give to other people. Yeah. When I see people, I don't automatically judge them and say that they're horrible people. I can absolutely assume that they're from a different area. I can assume mm-hmm. that they grew up differently. Like if I see somebody with a military T-shirt, I can assume that they've served or have been touched mm-hmm. by the service.
Or somebody
absolutely.
That they know. Yeah.
And so, and I'll tell this story and then we can wrap it up. My first day as a drill sergeant, mm-hmm. I was in the battalion headquarters, and the sergeant major, Command Sergeant Major Mace, he was a white guy, infantry guy. Mm-hmm. He was one of those. He was one of those sergeant majors that Hollywood. No, I'm serious. That he was like a type of guy, and when you thought sergeant major, because of Hollywood, that's the guy you.
That's
envisioned.
The one. Mm-hmm.
He had wisdom, he had knowledge, he had experience, and he had the look. Right, but he was a smaller guy.
Because we had one of those.
Yeah, and so he invited me into his office, right? And we were talking, and he said, "Do you know why you're going to be an outstanding drill sergeant, and you're going to have some problems?" I said, "No, why?" He was like, "Because you're a big black guy." And I was like, I had an idea of what he was saying, right? Because people of my stature and my color can cause fear in people, mm-hmm. and also can cause anger and blah, blah, blah. But he broke it down. So he was like, there's going to be black kids that come in here and they're going to relate to you, but they're still going to fear you because you're big. Mm-hmm. There's going to be white people that come in here. They're going to maybe hate you because you're black, but you're big. There may be big people that come in here, and he just kept breaking it down, and he was basically saying that The negative is you're going to be judged, but you're a big black guy.
Mm-hmm.
The positive is you're going to be judged, but you're a big black guy. But then he ended it by saying, but no matter what, when they leave your presence, the impact you have on them is going to change them the rest of their life.
They know the person was.
He said,
So,
and he was, oh my God, he said, are going to change them the rest of their life.
mm-hmm.
And that's what made me so daggone focused in basic training to try to do right by the soldiers, man.
Right. No, I mean, and that I hope that, sure that carried on, not in the drill sergeant role, but as when you went to your other first sergeant, your other leadership role.
That was a life.
That's just how you were as a man. Period. Because I know that I was going to say this, like, going to ask you, but I can tell you, like, for me, did that being a black male, being a black man, did that change how you led? And I don't mean like, did you have to think a lot about, did you pay attention more to the situations or who you were with and who you were talking to?
Absolutely. Yeah. And but it goes back to what I hope people take away from this. It's bringing everything, every decision you make back to that center line. And that center line in the Army, if people follow it, it leads to being good people, not just good soldiers and good leaders. It leads to being good people because you are not judging people on what they are. You're judging people on what they bring to the table,
who they are,
and what they're made of, and how they can help anything move forward, right? Mm-hmm. And so as a big black man, I absolutely, and I'm not sure if this is what you meant, but I absolutely have to adjust myself in public.
Okay.
Like if I know I'm in a white neighborhood, I take some of my aggression away.
Now, I think, because me as a smaller black man,
oh my God,
I think that's how we operate, and I can tell you, I honed that and perfected that when I got into the military and had. I shouldn't say honed and perfected, but I was more aware of it.
Absolutely.
I feel like then that made me a better leader. Being able to identify that and see that and to understand that with all of the different,
and this is a leadership thing.
Yeah.
And we're not going to go off on this too much, but I'm just going to tell you something. You don't just control an environment with aggression.
You can't.
When people see that I can make fun of myself and take a joke, do you know how much that relieves them and allows them to open up to meet me or have a conversation or become friends?
Makes you relatable. Makes you relatable, well, regardless of what color you are, where you came from, any of that. So,
and if I walk into an elevator and there's a small white woman in there, I'm absolutely going to speak to that woman because I don't want her to feel like I'm aggressive. I don't want to add that stress to her life. But guess what? I do that with a black man. I do that with a white man. I do that with a black woman. I'm going to speak when I walk in that elevator because I don't want anybody to be comfortable.
Uncomfortable.
Correction. Because I don't want anybody to be uncomfortable unless I want them to be uncomfortable. So, but, it's just, it's out there.
Yep.
We have to adjust and adapt, just like everybody around us has to adjust and adapt.
And that's not a bad thing.
And we just hope that even with the tone that's going on now in the United States, we just hope that we continue to progress to where we define people by their value instead of defining them by an assumed value.
Yeah, don't be afraid to speak up and educate folks.
Even though sometimes it gets tiring.
Yes.
But it's still always worth having a conversation.
It absolutely is.
And I'm going to just say this. Whether it's targeted or misunderstood, this is real to people who live it. And we have absolutely lived it.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. So, hey, y'all, stay safe, stay informed, and don't be afraid to ask hard questions.
And thank you for listening to this podcast, because we know that it's a hard conversation to have.
Yep, and we'll continue to show up and answer, those questions and things that y'all have for us.
And also follow us on Instagram. Check us out on our YouTube channel, because we're also posting these so you can watch us speak and act foolish on this podcast, and the truths that we talk about.
Also, let people know about this podcast. We have so much more to talk about. So join us. And as always, let's keep the conversation going, y'all.
Hey, we promise we will.
All right.
Holla.
Thanks.